we must be very careful because temptation often tries to cloak evil in the form of virtue. And these are exactly the kinds of temptations and evils that the stories of Jesus are trying to warn us against. Temptations of any kind and of many kinds will always be a part of our lives. And we will also continue to have to make sense of the tragedies and the evils in our own world that often shake us to our core. In order to do so, we need to have a vocabulary that allows us to explore these ideas and these experiences. We need stories that can help guide us through the wildernesses of our own lives. And that can help us to confront our own prejudices and hates and jealousies and unhealthy desires. What's at stake in most of these battles with temptation is not just the pain that succumbing to such temptations often creates in the world, but also the anguish it creates in our spirit. In his book titled The Good Book, my professor, Reverend Peter Gomes, offers 4 points to help us overcome temptation. He says we must name the temptation, name the tempter, practice resistance, and call for help. He believes that when we are in a moral dilemma, we need to name it in order to give our attempts to deal with it a reality and some focus. Second, he says we need to name the tempter. So that means that if our temptation is another person, we need to name the person so that they're not just an abstraction. Or if we're embezzling money, even if it's to help to pay for a poor relative's care, we need to name it so that we can come to terms with the fact that we are stealing. Third, we have to practice resistance. This is about preparing ourselves once we know we have a vulnerability so that our resistance to it becomes habitual. 12-step programs are a great example of people doing the preparatory work and practicing resistance. And finally, he tells us to call for help. Trying to rely on our own strength alone to deal with temptations is dangerous. We need to share our struggles with at least one other person who we trust and with God. And to that, I want to add 3 more ideas of how we can overcome temptation. These are from my colleague Marlin Lavanhar, who encourages us to choose work that satisfies you down to your bones, to look at something of beauty every day and savor it, and finally, to make a covenant with your God, whatever that is for you. Every single day, renew your vow. I pray that 2008 brings you the strength and the determination and the willpower to live into the future that you are meant to have. Happy New Year.